Hello, everybody. Welcome to, I don't know if this is the first edition of Cow Weekly with Alice Wolf and Mike Cow. I don't know how we're going to run this, but it's Cow Weekly. When you see me and Alice, apart from the time she'll guest on Cow Daily in the mornings, it's Cow Weekly. So there we go. I've got that out of the way. Without further ado, I'm going to bring her in. If StreamYard's going to play the game, let's see. It's not. Wolf, you there? How you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
Sound, aye, good as ever.
It's been a
Quite
while.
happy, like on the happiness upslope, you know what I mean? Which is always a nice place to be. Yourself?
I am good. Obviously, as people know, I've not been on for a while. There's just been lots of stuff going on, and then I was ill. But I can't believe really how much has sort of been going on in the news since you've not been doing it. And it was
right. Yeah, since we've not been doing the last one, me and you did. There's now a king. There's been a change of prime minister. Anything else?
Prime Minister and Liz Truss and a plethora of bastards. Yeah, the king. I think somebody died, didn't they? I think it was Paddington Bear or somebody, or Coolio.
Not when I'm having a fucking vape. And then he blew me lungs out there. An involuntary laugh just as I was pulling it in like that, and nearly blew me bloody lungs out. Yeah. It's like smoking off one of their machines in a club.
Yeah, Italy elected a fascist again.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, I did. That was really weird actually listening last week because obviously I wasn't well enough to speak. Every time I tried to talk, I started coughing. So I think we agreed that I was going to sit that one out, but I did listen in and I was commenting, but it was really weird because I was kind of pottering about the house, trying to keep everything clean as I was doing it. So I was listening to things you were saying, and occasionally I'd just forget that I wasn't on the stream and would just shout out things. Absolutely nobody. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, I'm not actually on it. Yeah.
Which weird stuff in it, because we were just saying the timer ran out just before we're supposed to go live on this. Because I forgot that this wasn't FaceTime. I'm that used to this interface now, and obviously talking to you, we're mates outside all this almost. So I'm used to talking to you there. You've been ill. My leccy went off when I got back to this regular studio time, and then summer and all of its bullshit. So here we are back again. I've been really looking forward to it. And just in terms of content for tonight, we've got some absolute bangers. There's videos, and I was telling you before we went on. Sometimes I just won't show you a video because I just want to see you buckled. I've really tried on this one, and to be honest, it's just there's two of them in particular I'm just in love with. So it's going to be a good time. So stick around. We're going to talk about Liz Truss, specific focus on her fucking necklace. Now you've been talking to me about this, in my Signal group, and honestly.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and it's I haven't shut up about this for weeks. I think it was around about the time that the Queen died when I ended up falling down this particular internet rabbit hole. But it's been talked about for ages because people have picked up on it a long time ago. And it's one of these things, that kind of seemed like a really good idea for us to talk on the live stream. And I'm really, really not sure how any of this is going to come across.
I'm going to love this, mate. This is right up my straza. Also, if you want to say a safe word tonight, it'll be blancmange. We're also going to talk about MTG, not to be confused with MTC. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Was that Partridge-esque enough? I really tried hard on that one.
Yeah. And kind of bringing into this whole thing about conservatives and their so-called values, really. The day collar thing, it honestly, it started off as a bit of a laugh, and it is, to be honest. I'm going to use the word allegedly.
Just a bag of allegedly on this entire episode, really, isn't it?
In this program, yeah. So Liz Truss, it was picked up many months ago. By people who are in the BDSM and kink communities.
Don't do it yet. I've got to do something first. Don't launch it and do it yet. I'll bring you in for that. Honestly, I literally just want to strap myself in, if you'll pardon the pun. I mean,
the height of professionalism. Yes, sorry, I was getting a bit ahead of myself there.
I'll just do the house husbandry. Well, I've got a leather strap chain around my neck, and I'm led round by no. Anyway, we're trying to defeat the CIA. Everybody, what's been happening is right. The week we came back, the CIA, the actual CIA, the Langley Files, a CIA podcast, released as well. They went in at number 2. We went up to number 11. Right. As you can see, we've found out since that an ex-director of the CIA has a show called Intelligence Matters, which is just above us in the charts. So what we're going to do, having a laugh. Right. Number 1, please go to open the Apple Podcast app. Number 2, go to the icons at the bottom of the screen and choose search. Number 3, search for Milk the Cow Podcast. Number 4, click on the show, not the episode. That's show, not the episode. Number 5, scroll all the way down to ratings and reviews. Number 6, click on write a review. Number 7, we get above the CIA in the charts and get black bagged forthwith. You up for it? Bit of black bagging?
Oh, great! Yeah, we're squaring up to the CIA and mugging them off live on air. I do hear the inside of a black bag is nice and warm, actually, so that might come in.
I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, as you know, but if you remember, we did that whole profile on the CIA in a previous episode just before the break, and lo and behold, soon after that, the CIA released a podcast now, a category, clearly not linked. Get the tinfoil hat suit. We're definitely getting black bag. And I tell you what, we're going down in a blaze of glory, because if you out there support us to go above the CIA together, we'll do an entire fucking show on the CIA and their crimes. How's about that then? Because guess what? They'll definitely fucking see it if we're getting above them in the charts. Blaze of glory time, innit? You up for that now, Alice? Just ruining my lives?
Yeah, absolutely.
The life ruining. Do you fancy a bit of life's ruined, like on the pyre of the CIA in Guantanamo Bay?
Honestly, at this point in this timeline, I'm definitely up for the frisk, I think.
That's why I love you, mate. We've got a few comments before we move on. I'm always up for the frisk as well, so let's dance. Joanne, yay, welcome back, Alice. Indeed. We've missed you, she goes on to say. Robert Grady, welcome back, Alice.
Hi, Robert.
Imagination scene, imagination scene. Daniel Curtis. Tories predicted to win only 2 seats and an election was held now. Well, Daniel, that's definitely not going to happen. I think it was Harold Wilson who said a week is a long time in politics. We've got about 2.5 years and they're going to long this right out. We've also got JC. No, not that one. All right, mate, how we doing? Evening all. And he means all, of course. He's come with the LMAOs after that. Good to see everybody in. Let the ceremony begin, as Jim Morrison once said. Right, what do you want to do first? Truss's necklace or the MTG? Marjorie Taylor Greene?
I don't know, they're kind of linked, really. I already accidentally started about Liz Truss's necklace, so should we start
Let's
with that
rock
one?
with the Truss. Here she is here, in case nobody knows who she is. But what's that we see? Over to you, Alice. Let's talk us through this entire vibe.
Okay, it's a fairly inconspicuous looking necklace. And I think if we'd only maybe just been talking about this one, I think I would have, kind of said the whole thing was like a little bit tinfoil. But it was a few months ago, it was like people who, are involved in like the BDSM or kink communities started talking online, kind of as a joke, like it was said as a laugh about how she was wearing an O necklace or a day.
What is an O necklace? Is that what we're seeing there?
Okay,
and this is in the kink community. Is there a specific aspect of the kink community that you would see this in?
Usually people who are in like dominant submissive relationships. So that's normally the kind of an O necklace would normally be typically worn by a submissive to signify that they are either in a relationship or that they are owned is sometimes the terminology they might use, depending on what it is that's their bag. Some of them are not subtle looking at all, as you can imagine. Like there's literally no getting wrong. It'll be like a massive collar with like a giant like ring hanging off the end of it. So like the idea of a day collar is that it's something that somebody can wear discreetly, kind of in their profession.
I'll rewind a bit. It's like it would be like what, like a ring like this with 2 rings together, then something hanging off it as well.
So basically what she's got on there. So it's like
All right. So that would be like your classic,
a loop
like
hanging
the
on it.
symbol of ownership in the
Sometimes, I
BDSM
mean,
community,
yeah,
right?
yeah, like that. Or it might literally be a collar with like an attachment with a ring hanging off the end of it, which literally does look like a slave collar. There's no dressing it up. They're not subtle looking things.
Right.
Yeah, but the idea of like what is being worn here is that is what some people wear to signify they're in such a relationship, but obviously don't want something that really stands out, that isn't going to draw people's attention to it. It's just like a subtle little nod as a reminder to themselves rather than to announce to the world.
Well, so they look in the mirror and they're all like, oh, yes, I might be the prime minister of the 6th largest economy in the world, but I'm owned by Crazy Horse doing the road.
Yeah. Yeah,
fucking hell.
This isn't like, and yeah, I first saw it and I was just like, yeah, this is all like a bit of a, it's a good laugh, isn't it? And it didn't really take it too seriously. And then it got funnier because it turns out this isn't the only kind of this necklace that she owns. But the one that we've seen in both of these pictures now, this is the one that she's got on like the vast majority of the time at nearly like most of her public appearances. She's wearing this, but there is another one that she's got, which is maybe a bit more bold, should we say?
Shall I move on? Have we got a picture?
Yeah, if you've got a picture.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Hell.
I saw this one and I was like, oh, maybe it is an old bollocks, really,
That's like the one I've got up my arse.
Not even going to ask how that works.
I'm a pioneer in the BDSM scene, pushing boundaries at all times.
Yeah.
Remember that story about like how climate change made me arse explode? I lied.
Yes, I haven't forgotten that story at all. Thank you for that. But that was a lovely reminder of it.
Wonderful. A beautiful time.
So yeah, she's got more than one of these same types of necklaces. And then there's lots and lots of kind of internet rabbit holes you can go down about.
I'd just like to point out, like, at no point are we suggesting at any time that Liz Truss is getting beveled off anybody in a kind of master servant scenario or anything of that nature. Anything that it would be foolish to suggest. But anyway, what you're going to tell us some alleged stuff, though?
It would be, well, actually, I don't actually have to say this was allegedly because this is something that's fully been admitted, and that's that she had an affair many moons ago. This is public, this is kind of in the public domain. This is something that she's admitted in public. And yes, this is Mark Field. You may remember him from such incidents as assaulting women who don't want the planet to die in a ball of flames, thanks to corporate greed. This is him assaulting a protester. This is Mark Field, who she had the affair with in about 2005, 2006, when he was her mentor. When she
wait, hold up a minute. I remember when he frog marched her out, he had his hand on the back of her neck.
Yeah.
Is that some kind of like sub master type scenario, the hand on the back of the neck?
I have no idea, but we know he likes grabbing hold of women from this photo. There's another picture of him grabbing hold of Lucia Hunt, who's Jeremy Hunt's wife, in a kiss. And
I saw that. I've seen that. Yeah, man. That's like full on. Yeah, you're not going to be happy about that, are you?
Yeah, like that's kind of if somebody kind of grabbed me like that, they'd get kneed straight in the balls. Like it was
cool.
really uncomfortable. It's such a horrible photo, and Mark Field isn't a very nice person, and there's no fucking allegedly about that as far as I'm concerned. Like I'd stand up in court and say that.
Yeah, I think you're on decent ground there.
Yeah. So anyway, she did admit having an affair. She did say that, her and her husband were working things out, as a result of the affair, and that, things between them were stronger now. Now it's after this affair. This necklace has never been seen before all of this. Right. The necklace has been seen after. So what some people are theorizing on the internet is that, she's since kind of entered this sort of like, when she said her and her husband, because she has said to the Telegraph did a piece on this necklace, but like not about any of this. But it was like, oh, she always wears this lovely necklace.
Was the whole piece on the necklace?
Oh yeah. There was like a full thing about it, and she did say that it was a gift from her husband. So she has confirmed that the necklace is a gift from her husband. So the theory is that when, you know, the affair broke and they've been working things through their marriage, they've kind of entered into this sort of like dynamic, and that he has given her this necklace.
The husband's given the necklace.
Yeah,
this is the theory,
the
alleged theory, which we would never suggest is true. It's just what's been speculated upon.
Yeah. And so I have really laughed my arse off about this for weeks, just at the idea of like, you know, Prime Minister Bratty Sub. But
Right, rewind. I know nothing about this stuff. What's a Bratty Sub? You're not getting away with this. You know loads about this. Carry on. Come on. Tell your dad. Oh no, that would be terrible, wouldn't it? It would be one of them mad ones. Anyway. I'm just too Geordie for this game. Anyway, carry on.
Most people are okay. So most people, if they might think of a submissive, think of somebody who is either socially or sexually kind of very, well, exactly that, submissive, you know, does what they're told, you know, behaves all the time. A bratty sub is kind of somebody who would deliberately sort of break those boundaries with the hope of getting punished for it.
So they're bang into it. They're bang into this.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, really, you should all.
Well, I mean, people generally are.
If you're going to be in that dynamic, you should be bang into it, no matter what kind it is. And
well, it's abusive, though. If you're not, isn't it? Really, it's like,
well, exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like full on. So how do you ascertain as that process goes on what the safety level is?
More than this about this than what.
Are you not part of the whole vibe? Like, are you not into that? Anyway, Liz Truss. So, like, what kind of practices would a bratty sub enjoy?
Honestly, I don't. This is.
I sound like a Victorian dad there. So, what practices would the chair leg involve? Look at its curvature.
Yeah, I think that's far too open.
Outside your pay grade, is it?
Well, it's just that it could be like any of number of things. I mean, the kind of shit that people are into, like, really does vary. And that was like the whole thing where I was thinking, oh God, is this even a good idea to do this? Because what I don't want to look like is that I'm shitting all over that community and kind of taking the piss out of them. Like, at the end of the day, is what people are into, as long as it's all between consenting adults, is that really any of our business? Now, normally I'll be like, no, it is not. Like, it, you know, it really doesn't fucking matter. And I think it's quite funny if she is wearing one, but really, kind of what difference does it make? But it does when it's things like conservative MPs and the kind of values that they try to push on us all the time. You know, this whole thing of, you know, family values. And, you know, family values is such a loaded term because it's like, well, yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, whose family?
Yeah, exactly. Who doesn't support families? What they really mean is heterosexual families, you know, depending on what particular kind of bastard they are, they might mean white heterosexual families, specifically, because, you know, they'll still have shitty views on immigration and stuff like that. Well, so this is why, you know, no matter what Liz Truss is or isn't into, this whole thing with, you know, politicians, particularly Tory politicians, is a tale as old as time. You know, they go on about like family values and all of this. They actively make policies that, you know, really hurt, like, you know, gay and queer communities, whilst trying to uphold themselves as pinnacles of virtue, which is indeed, you know, absolute. And when you look at some of the people who Liz Truss, you know, Liz Truss has got some questionable views herself, but like, really, some of the people in her cabinet are awful people, like the new health minister, who is Theresa Coffey. So she's oh
God, she boils my piss, rotten her, like,
and she's awful. And she, you know, it was kind of true to form, you know, she's kind of, because, you know, our new health minister is anti-abortion. She is you know, voted against same-sex marriage and things like that. I think she's recently like pulled a lot of funding for the monkeypox vaccines.
Yeah, she did, which obviously targets LGBTQ communities more than anybody.
Because you know fine well she's buying into the myth that monkeypox is only affecting the gay community, which just isn't true.
Well, you know she is, but disproportionately it has been like on a case-by-case basis. Hence why in London specifically, they've been like LGBTQ people have been offered the vaccine. So from what I gather, the detail was an extra 50,000 vaccines, which just basically went, no, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And apparently, like whatever health scrutiny board or whatever it was, like that looked at that was like aghast, couldn't believe that a politician had made that decision.
Yeah. So we've got that, and then obviously there's the likes of Jacob Rees-Mogg. If you just look at, there are quite a lot of people who are, have voted against like gay rights and same-sex marriage within the new cabinet, and right throughout the Tory party, really. So that's really why I kind of, after having a bit of a giggle about it, started getting like a bit pissed off, because it's just like, she had this collar on when she went to see the Queen, which really made me laugh, because the Queen then died promptly like 2 days later. I am absolutely not insinuating that the Queen saw the collar.
Can people who leather other people in the BDSM community, like, can they like make haunted amulets that kill queens? Is that part of it?
That would be great.
Because, like, I mean, I might take the odd like battering if it meant I could like go around with some mad haunted amulet. Like, check that out, man. You know what I mean?
I like the idea that the Queen saw it and just thought, "Fuck this."
Do you reckon the Queen knew what it was? Like the handkerchief system in the wider gay community. Like, do you reckon she's like fully cognizant of, or was, God rest her, old Madge, of the BDSM lingua franca, the symbolism of the BDSM community? Do you reckon our dearly departed Queen?
Do I think a member of the royal family knows what a slave collar is?
Fucking yes.
Yeah, they've owned a few, really.
I've missed you, man. Like, honestly, one of the biggest regrets of my recent life is not doing this podcast weekly with you during the fucking porn fest that like everybody was put through. Sadly, I didn't have regular and predictable studio time, so it couldn't happen. But honestly, like, I think our signal group would get us black bagged alone.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And when I wasn't posting like some of the most god-awful things I've ever seen in my life in there about that, I was out walking and feeding the crows just to get away from all of it. But you've got, honestly, the town that I live in, you couldn't even get away from it there. They dressed up all the fucking mannequins in the charity shop, man, were all dressed in black.
Fuck like, all of it.
It's just like, even just trying to go for like a normal walk, it was like all of the shops were covered in pictures of the Queen and like, mourning mannequins. It was
fucking weird times, isn't it?
But
anyway, that was then. This is now. We're gonna have to crack on because we're running out of time, and I didn't want to land too heavy later. We've got a bag of comments though, so I didn't mean to cut in, but like there's all the comments. There's some absolute fucking degenerates out there, and I haven't even looked at them yet. There's just lots of comments talking about all of the things. Right. So what we got here, Andy Taylor. Well, every day is a school day.
You're welcome, Andy.
JC, not that one. Corbyn or Christ, which one? I hope the MDG story isn't leaked footage of her affair. I just had my dinner. Better go for a shite, pal.
You're in for a really bad time, mate.
Zoe Jarrett, yep, sub-dom behavior. Yep, cool. You know all about it.
It's just, the more I've read about this, it's kind of, I know we keep using the word allegedly. Personally, I was like, trying to have a balanced view of these things. Like, do I think that is what people are saying it is? Yeah, I do. Absolutely. But
we've got imagination scene in the house. I'm trying to click it. StreamYard's being a bit of a cock. Imagination scene. What do you think Rees-Mogg is into, chat? I played a video on yesterday's show about him being walked by and flanked by police into the Tory party conference. Clearly, he could have got a car going in there. He didn't need to be walked through all these protesters. If I was to allegedly say he had a public humiliation kink, what would you think? because he seems to enjoy it in front of his son as well. You remember that one? That time he got like berated.
He's done that a few times though, and he's had like class war like shouting out of his house. He's deliberately brought his kids out like and walked past them when he's known fine well they were there. Like, why would you bring your children out? And then he goes, oh, look at the horrible anarchists. They're all like, being all shouty, and it's just like you knew fine well they were there, and he's kind of smirking as he kind of parades his kids past as well. It's sort of weird. No, I just think he's an opportunist when it comes to that kind of thing, to try and like manipulate things to turn public opinion about protesters. In terms of what he's into, I think it probably involves his fucking nanny, if I'm honest. Like some kind of like bitchy situation. I don't know.
Who would know? It's all a big bag of allegedly slap. I'm going to just call this podcast Allegedly. I'm not going to say what it's about. I'm just going to go allegedly in the title. What do you think?
The whole nanny thing is weird in my opinion, but what do I know?
We might be able to duck it, like, much like Liz Truss might enjoy if she was to enjoy subordinate, or is it subordinate? Would that be what it would be called? Subordinate behavior?
Submissive.
Submissive.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. I'm like clearly a meat and two veg kind of guy. Like missionary position. That's me. God bless yous. God bless you and all your friends who like the things, Alice. It's all good. Thanks for informing me about secret matters.
About BDSM. It's not even that weird, is it? But
no, I don't think it is at all. I don't think it is at all. But like the problem with me is this, and you know this. I'm 45 and I'm the sweet spot between like Renaissance man and old school giggling Geordie fuckwit. So like you're telling us this and I'm like, yeah, progressive thoughts. And then it's like, you're like getting leathered. That's literally what my brain does. That's what my brain does. Like I envy younger people like who just haven't got all of that old school like Irish Catholic bullshit baggage and like Geordie parochialism like in a big bag and slapped around the head with it every time you have a thought. Because that's my curse in life.
Yeah, that's fair enough, I guess. But no, I think it was like, yeah, let's run it on the show tonight because we just want to have a cheap laugh at Liz Truss, because there's going to be plenty of other times where, and we have a bit tonight, where we're going to have to really hold her to account because she's a heinous person. And I know there's this whole thing about, Liz Truss, she's as thick as mince and she's stupid and things like that. And that's not entirely untrue about her. She knows exactly what she's doing in terms of the policies she makes and the harm that she causes, and we're not going to let her get away with that. So yeah, we're going to have a cheap laugh at her expense for this week, and then we'll crack on business as usual.
We will indeed.
It is a
Mystic Cow predicts, however, Mystic Cow predicts this was all supposed to happen. They'll use her as this clusterfuck prime minister and she'll benefit later when she's hounded out. She's already a laughingstock. And they'll swoop in Johnson to so-called save the day. And a population in the main will be so beaten down and forgetful by lockdowns and all of the things that we've all had to go through. And we had to. And the cost of living crisis and all of that. And it'll just be accepted because people are just sick as fuck of all of this shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
That's me speculation / Mystic Cow predict. You know this. I'm going to cut this fucking video out if I'm right and spread it everywhere on the fucking internet going, see, I was right.
To be fair, you are the only one saying it at the minute. I can't... I mean, obviously, he's not going to disappear from politics, is he? That's not going to happen. But I can't see him coming back as prime minister, if that's what you're suggesting. But hey, I'm happy for this clip to be shown.
I'm talking about world king. I want him to achieve his childhood dream. We might as well just go shit or bust. I mean, I think the fascism's really tinkering it around the edges, putting like some Maloney in, who's a soft fascist. We want a full fascist, and we want Johnson, and we all need to be killed. Because it'll just put out to a fucking misery, won't it? Like, and my misery at the minute is people haranguing us, like saying, if I don't vote for the Labour Party, I'm a Tory. Which is just like, I'm honestly going to start challenging people to MMA fights or something soon. It's just fucking getting out of hand.
No.
Like legal ones.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I know what I mean. But no, it's an absolute disgrace. It's and I haven't had anybody say that to me, but I am hearing the whole, and because people are so sick of the Conservative Party, that's like, oh, you know, we're going to have to vote Labour and don't really want to, not really happy, but, you know, we have to get the Tories out. And it's really look at the policies that they're proposing, tell me what is the difference, the things that you don't like about the Tory Party, the very things that you're talking about, show me where that isn't happening in the Labour Party. I've maybe got a bit more sympathy for people who've, you know, maybe got a potential MP who is actually one of the few decent ones standing and why they might decide to vote for them. But that isn't the case in mine. And, you know, every time Keir Starmer like shows his face on TV, it's just like, tell me how he is any different from a member of the Conservative Party. You know, he hasn't challenged, you know, some of the heinous decisions that have been coming through. You know, he's also said that he would attack trade unions. He's basically Keir Starmer is the fucking Milli Vanilli of socialism. He basically like came in and just fixed the whole manifesto without having a clue what any of it meant. Like, you know,
the pair of them are the same. Liz Truss on the other side's the same. Just she repeated that 2,500 energy price cap thing when it's not, it's per unit. And she's repeated it again today. British Gas took a full page ad out in bold letters in the Times yesterday or the day before, like refuting what she'd said the other day. And she fucking said it again today.
Jeez.
And do you know what else? The media and the interviewer didn't hold her to account on it. Didn't go, no, that's not true, and just let it fly.
Nah, it's, yeah. And then we're getting this all the time. And it's, you know, at one point I would have said, okay, yeah, you know, not particularly the kind, you know, don't want to really participate in parliamentary politics. However, Labour are a bit better than the Conservative Party, but really not anymore. Not from everything we see them doing. They keep telling you who they are. Why don't you believe them?
Yeah. And it'll take a couple of comments because we went off piste a bit, yeah. But like, Steve Jackson, StreamYard needs a double click these days. Dorries wants a general election, so Truss loses, and they reinstate Johnson as the saviour. So Mad Nads is saying something similar. Steve, I did see that tweet. You quote tweeted somebody else in the Tory party, I think it was, and there's obviously all that internal stuff. There's already chat that there's letters going into the 1922 committee. To trigger a vote of no confidence. Howie, man, we know what's up here. We know what's happening. You can't tell me. You can't get it past me, you haystack-headed piece of shit. He's just sitting around on one of his many holidays, possibly in a villa in Tuscany owned by, who fucking knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Should have think.
Anybody.
I'm not saying Pussolini. I'm not.
Pussolini, aye. Do you reckon they've got like their mad masks on, like eyes wide shut, and they get up to all kinds?
Oh, God. No, that's a mental image that's going to haunt me for the rest of my life of Boris Johnson. No, I'm too much of a visual person for these conversations, I think. Yeah, immediately.
Another one, Zoe says, I had that conversation today about Starmer. The other person said anything but the Tories.
I know.
Standard business, isn't it? It's like, what do you want?
I know, Zoe, and it's kind of one of them. On the one hand, I do. It's not that I don't empathise with how utterly sick that people are of 12 years being under the Conservatives. It's not like I don't understand that and don't have any sympathy for it, but there's no opposition at the moment, because if any of you actually bother to read the fucking Ford report, the people within the Labour Party saw to that there wouldn't be, and that there's no real opposition, and that we end up with a situation like that they've got in America at the minute, where there's no real difference again between the Republicans and the Democrats.
Well, quite. Exactly. I mean, Republican, Democrat, and like two cheeks of the same arse shit, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's where we're back. I mean, we've lived through that too. It's like pass the torch on to Blair, like Thatcher, who Thatcher said was her greatest achievement. Yeah. So, you know, we're back here again. But fuck all of them. JC says Milli Vanilli LMFAO. Indeed, that was a banger.
I would like to apologise to Milli Vanilli actually, because if I went down a Milli Vanilli rabbit hole like a while back, and they were they were absolutely the victims of the music industry, not the villains of it. So apologies to Milli Vanilli, but absolutely not to fucking Keir Starmer.
No, fuck Keir Starmer. Robert has a last word on this. Starmer is light blue, not socialist red. Quite right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene. How do you want to play this one? Because I've got slides, but do you want to give a bit of background first, and I'll just pull up some slides. Give us the nod when you're ready, aye?
Okay, right. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is a Republican, US representative of Georgia. At the minute, she's kind of like, I mean, if you had to compare her to call it anything, it would be like the American Nadine Dorries, in that she kind of comes across as, and she is absolutely unhinged. And Marjorie Taylor Greene was like literally one of Trump's fiercest and weirdest supporters. She came out a lot with it, kind of repeated a lot of the QAnon conspiracy theories. Mm-hmm. There's always, I mean, there's never ever been any proof of it, but there's always been whispers of her like having some involvement with the whole January the 6th incident, and passing on information. There's never been any proof of that. But she's, again, and it's going back to this whole thing of conservative politicians, who are very bigoted, and she doesn't even hide it. I mean, she absolutely fucking hates gay people. She's very, very anti-abortion. Kind of applauding the whole Roe Wade turnover and things like that. And she's always brought up, about how she's God-fearing, and her husband and her children, don't they have like the perfect family? And true to form, again, Taylor's old as time. It's come out recently that her husband has filed for divorce.
I see.
There is no, from what I know, there's no official reasons cited for the divorce yet. I think they've kind of both made a statement where they're both saying, no, it's all very amicable and stuff. But Marjorie Taylor Greene's one of these people who I've sort of been following for years, because whatever she comes out with is going to be some wild shit.
It's a cartoon. Listen, before we go into the bag of allegedly, I've got a few clips just to set the scene a bit more. This one, just let us know what you think. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, if you don't know who she is, you have to see her to believe her. So,
you do.
Targets now, though, for daring to push back against the regime, and it doesn't stop at a weaponized legal system. I'm not going to mince words with you all. Democrats want Republicans dead, and they've already started the killings. An 18-year-old boy was run down by a Democrat driver who confessed to killing the teenager simply because he was a Republican. Even right here in Michigan, just last week, an 83-year-old woman was shot in the back for advocating for the unborn. Joe Biden has declared every freedom-loving American an enemy of the state. But under Republicans, we will take back our country from the communists who have stolen it and want us to disappear. We will expose the unelected bureaucrats, the real enemies within, who have abused their power and declared political warfare on the greatest president this country has ever had.
And who was that greatest president? That would be Donald Trump in her mind.
Yes, it would do. And if you think Joe Biden is a communist, you really are just a semi-sentient swastika with a bad spray tan.
Well,
yeah.
Here's a chart that I used the other day. My apologies. Here's the chart, which puts the Tories further to the right than Bolsonaro in Brazil. But it puts the US Democrats, and this is on economically right-wing major parties in the developed world, it puts the Democrats sort of center-left with the Labour Party a bit further to right, and then the Cuban Communist Party obviously right over there on the far left. So this is a problem that Marjorie Taylor Greene and that whole Steve Bannon connected international fascist network, because people who've been following the bits I've been doing on the fascist network, Salvini in Italy and Maloney and Johnson and others, Taylor Greene's connected within that whole milieu. So just something to bear in mind. So what do you? Sorry, carry on. What are you saying?
And she can't conceal it either. And some of the things she's come out with, it's like they're kind of funny, but they're also really, really disturbing as well. Like when you kind of think about the implications of it, like she said, the California wildfires were started by a Jewish space laser, which was like a whole.
I forgot about that. She's done so many.
Yeah. I mean, like literally, you could fill a whole show just of like wild stuff that she said. But it is kind of, even that story, even that kind of like rumor is just bringing back like an anti-Semitic trope, which is like 2,000 years old. It just comes back in like different forms, really. Wrong,
isn't she?
Yeah, no, she absolutely is. And she's done this whole thing of like families, and we care about families. And, there's been like a whole revival of what they call the trad wife movement in America. There's a woman who calls herself the transformed wife online, who's called Laurie Alexander, who's all very God-fearing Christians. Women should be submissive to their husbands and they should be staying at home. And she comes up with similar things. I have to.
You think she's like Yoda for Liz Truss?
Honestly, she doesn't mean submissive in that in the
I know.
Sense. It's this whole thing of you must be having like loads of babies and stuff. At the minute, I've got to have like people like screenshot me stuff that she said because she's blocked me.
Who's blocked you?
Laurie Alexander, the transformer.
No way. Have you been getting into her on that?
Yeah. Well, I made fun of her. Yeah, she said something about witches or something like that, and I said something about how it was. Like, honestly,
she's definitely not having that. Like, there's no way you're having that kind of crazy talk. Like.
I think I said it was something really stupid and like a really unbannable offense. Like, don't taunt Stevie Nicks in the month when she's at her most powerful. This was a couple of weeks ago, and it was something. It was literally something stupid like that.
Take a joke. This mob can they?
No, I can't. But yeah, that's kind of like ties into that whole thing of aren't we good people, and the left are all kind of sexual degenerates who want to corrupt your children and stuff. And that's the kind of thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene and the transformed wife say. However, it has come out that Marjorie Taylor Greene has been, and apparently this was like an open secret, that she was cheating on
an alleged open secret, you say?
An alleged open secret, yeah, with at least 2 different people who she met at the gym. So this is one of them. This is my favorite one, actually. So just because it's like for all of the things that Marjorie Taylor Greene says, one of the people she's alleged to have had an affair with is a polyamorous Zangief cosplayer who is a tantric sex guru as well.
Rewind again. What's polyamorous again?
That just means not in a monogamous relationship. So maybe believes that, having relationships with more than one person, all having the consent.
And this is Zangief,
Yeah.
You're just like slanging dick, and he's come up with some new.
Yeah, I don't think his real name is actually Zangief. I think it's
for the purpose. It's for the purposes of this. I mean,
yeah. But no, this isn't like, I just thought like, for all of the things that she says about the left being degenerates and, marriages between one man and one woman, it's like this guy who she's alleged to have had an affair with is like the very opposite of that. And I think it's fucking great that this has all come out. I feel a bit bad for him because this is all meant to have happened about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's obviously been brought up in like quite a lot of the mainstream press recently. So it's probably coming back to haunt him. I don't think it's something he's particularly proud of, and who can blame him? But this hat man, again, I'm hoping that this photograph has been taken after the affair is alleged to have taken place, because it's it's obviously meant to look like a MAGA hat, but actually says "Made you look, Black Lives Matter."
Bloody hell! You can tell you live up the coast, like we are MAGA. You can tell it's a MAGA hat.
MAGA.
What's happened to you, man? So anyway, there's some text as well. Do you want us to read out the key bits like on this?
Please do.
I will. Oh, hold on. There he is again.
Great
Oh, and there
film.
he is again, twice.
Excellent.
Look
Loving it.
at that though, with the she's banging on about communists, and she's been banging Zangief as well. Do you think she did it on his hammer and sickle bedspread? Allegedly banging Zangief. Sorry.
Again, too much of a visual person for these kinds of conversations. Not how I want to picture it. But...
Imagine it though, like proper Soviet Union bedspread, and he's just got like he puts his hand under the bed, and she thinks, "Oh, what's he going to pull out here?" And it's a Kim Jong Un bed like pillow. You can get them on Wish for $3.99. Honestly, I nearly did. I love Wish Me. Anyway, we've got to carry on though. Right, this guy here, right, is, you know how you were saying like, please vote her out and all that. This is the guy who's standing against her, Marcus Flowers.
Yes.
And his tweet here is, if you incited a violent insurrection, you should be disqualified from holding office. CC Marjorie Taylor Greene. Slick business, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't had the lawyers onto him for that one, actually, because she doesn't like it when people suggest that she's had any involvement with that at all. But again, like going back to the whole like thing of being such a fucking hypocrite, but it will make me angry, and I will talk about it when they are people who make policies which actively harm women and, you know, actively harm marginalized communities all of the time. And then it turns out that they're doing shit like this. Is that the UKIP guy? What was his name again?
What? Who fucking Helmand province or something? Roger Helmer. That was it.
No, it was Roger Helmer. Yeah, so he was.
I got there in the end. I used word association, like internal mallets.
Yeah,
so Helmand province, Roger Helmer.
Yeah, that helped. So Roger Helmer, he was another one about saying how, you know, kind of gay people were kind of ruining the world and everything like that. You know, that they were destroying the sanctity of marriage shortly before he asked for his right to privacy after he was allegedly caught visiting a brothel.
Dear God, a big bag of allegedly on that guy. Yeah?
Time. I mean, again, how many representatives do you have making really homophobic remarks? And then it turns out they've been in relationships with usually other men. But yeah, happens all of the time. And these are the people who are making policies that actively cause harm. So yeah,
total hypocrisy, isn't it? Do you want to see something mental though? MTG style.
Go on.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, y'all.
We've got skyrocketing inflation, high diesel fuel, and Democrats' America Last policies. Democrats aren't the only one destroying farmers' ability to put food on the table. We've got wild hogs destroying farmers' fields. So we decided to go hog hunting. Let's help American farmers out. Sign up below and let's go in that helicopter and go hog hunting. Enter to win now.
Communism. Yeah, I love it, man. You like put that guitar track on anything, I'm there, man. Hog hunting, what we're gonna do.
Did you shoot a pig? Did you shoot a pig on a video?
Do you not know about this? Do you know who's that fucking like rock guitarist who is a complete right-wing arsehole?
Ted Nugent.
Ted Nugent. They go up in helicopters, right, with like machine guns, like mounted on the helicopters, and the pilot flies them about, and there's like these like wild hogs. They just go and just fucking murder the fuck out of them. Like that's what they do.
Oh,
and it's legal in certain states because they do have a feral hog issue, but obviously like flying around with the...
Yeah, I just had the 50 to 60 feral hogs meme like come up into my head as the video started, right up before she started shooting them. Yeah, that looks like really, really safe for them to be doing. That looks like a Dick Cheney accident waiting to happen, actually. I think, didn't he shoot somebody, one of his mates, when he was out hunting or something like that, because he mistook them for...
That's right, he did. The other alleged rumor is he's got a hog himself, but it doesn't get hunted. Apparently, he was like fucking full bore
No, stop saying these things. I have to go to sleep later. And
Dude, you've literally just been talking about the leader of our wonderful country possibly being a sub. Like who, the neck of you.
That's not even nearly as bad as that. I'm sorry. it just isn't. And then we've got Zangief coming into all of this.
Zangief coming in, like he used to have. Hold on, it's all linking up. He have like a full on collar on. Hold on a minute, we've got to find out this. I'm just gonna go back to the Zangief crack here. Will we be able to see it though? Will we? His neck's kind of a bit on both Zangiefs there. Yeah. His neck's a bit full on it.
Non-existent, really. It's all a bit like.
Imagine if Zangief, well, doesn't he need to do a Sandy Toxic impression? What the hell the fuck's that got to do with that? No. No way to talk about the founder of the Women's Equality Party. Some fucking feminist you. Anyway.
I did not bring her into this. Like,
I didn't consent to this
video. Going back to MTG and the hog video.
Yeah,
like the whole the lightning and the lighting up of the eyes. Have you ever watched any of The Boys? Yeah,
I haven't. No.
Right. Okay. It's kind of really reminiscent of the character Stormfront in there, which I don't know.
Well, Stormfront's the fucking fash message board in the States, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and the character.
Isn't that strange?
She is a Nazi in it as well. She's like she is a full on Nazi character, and that was very reminiscent of Stormfront in there, which may not have.
She has not been censured by the Republican Party, right? And she spoke at Nick Fuentes's like. Do you know who Nick Fuentes is? He's like kind of one of these like right-wing sort of podcast type people.
Yes.
And I saw a clip today where he was basically saying America's a white country. White people are the people who've done all the good things in the world. We invented the nuclear bomb, when fucking did this, we did that. And she went and spoke at his conference and hasn't been booted or suspended or anything like that. So I would strongly suggest watch what's going to happen with the Republican Party too. Because this whole sort of Trump thing might even mirror Johnson. Can you imagine the two of them coming and having some mad old school fascist network and that?
Oh, God. No.
I've painted the right picture for you tonight. You just look disgusted. Anyway, welcome back. I'm really pleased you're back.
Yes, it's great. Great to be back reading the news again.
Great to be back. Great to be back.
I think I would sort of disassociate from current affairs a bit ever since the death of Queen Elizabeth, and just thought, no, fuck this. I'm going to go and do my own thing and be creative and not look at what's going on. I only really came back on Saturday because I went to the Enough is Enough march.
All right, cool. I've got to make Lynch clip at the end, so if you want to tell about your experience at the end, that'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just on MTG though, people like sitting here now must think, she's not very popular and she must have squeaked in and whatever. There's just loved by so many absolute fucking raj people, and here's some of them here. Conquering Hero returns, and that's in part why we're fucked. People can't see through absolute dafties such as her.
They had the Republican, it was like some kind of like Republican Party conference. I can't remember what they call it. It's got like a proper name, but that's basically what it is.
Well, I know it wasn't a tough crowd for her. I guess she would go to their places and be shouted at and whatever.
No, this was I don't know if that was that one or if this was the one that was a while back, but they basically had like an actor in a cage. Which was like made up to look like a cell. He was like in an orange jumpsuit and he was crying, pretending to be like a January the 6th rioter. And that he'd been forgotten about, and he was sat like crying, and like Marjorie Taylor Greene came in and swept into this cell and like knelt by his feet like Mary Magdalene.
Oh my God.
It was just like, it was the weirdest fucking thing. The whole like, I don't know.
Do you know what bugs me about these cunts? Like, it's not just the fast shit. That's like bad enough, right? But it's the cringe. the cringe that comes off them and the cringe of all of the shit
Absolutely.
around them. And you're seeing it within the Labour right as well. You're seeing the footage from the Labour Party conference, Tory Party conference as well. It's just a fucking cult, man.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just weird as fuck behaviour. Yeah. But again, the Republicans always seem to manage to amplify it even more. It's like,
they do. But here's the thing. I want to get these next things in just before we're gone, right?
Okay.
So this is the video I didn't want to tell you about, right? So I don't even know if you know about this, but I'm just going to play this, and then I just want to hear what your reaction is. And then I've got another video.
Okay.
So for audio listeners there, I really couldn't not surprise Alice. So I couldn't tell you what it is. But that was somebody in an End Private Jets t-shirt pouring the compartment from what looks like a caravan, which is like liquid urine and excrement, over a statue of a much-loved figure in, what's he called? Major Tom? Captain Planet? Captain Tom.
Captain Tom, yeah. I think Major.
So did you know about this, by the way?
I've never seen the video. I'd heard that somebody had maybe done something like this, but I've not actually seen it. I didn't realise she threw an entire container like over it. Wow.
So, I mean, do you want to know why?
Yes, I don't know why the statue or memorial of Captain Tom or whatever that was.
Well, this is Megan in her own words.
Okay.
My name is Maddie, I'm 21, and today I'm going to be pouring actual liquid human shit onto a Captain Tom memorial.
Just like to apologise to Maddie there. Obviously, I'd like to show the respect of being the person who did pour the shit on Captain Tom by getting her name right. Anyway, is it Maddie? It's Maddie.
My name is Maddie, I'm 21, and today I'm going to be pouring actual liquid human shit onto a Captain Tom memorial. People are going to say that he's a hero. People are going to say that this is profoundly, obscenely disrespectful to his life and the NHS that he stood up for. And I agree. I was studying to become a doctor because I believe in taking care of people. If we believe that the NHS is important, if we believe in taking care of each other, if we believe that NHS workers are doing essential work, why are we forcing our healthcare system into collapse? Why are we forcing our civilization into collapse? Why is basically no one taking this genocide of all humanity seriously? As the livable climate continues to collapse, that is what's going to happen because of running out of food, money, water, people to work, medicines, and meanwhile, mass death, mass disease, mass dying. All of this is true, and the government won't even end UK private jets. Every time one takes off, it pours a bucket of shit and blood onto everything that Captain Tom stood for. Climate collapse is the end of everything humans have worked for, all the safety and security that we take for granted, including modern medicine. To find out what to do in the face of this genocide, come to a Zoom meeting this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. or watch a 70-minute video. Both can be found on our website and ukprivatejets.co.uk.
Thoughts, etc. Fucking hell.
Fucking hell, it's really all I can think to say. I mean, yeah, I heard her reasons for doing it. Like, kind of not sure how, after showing that video, how good an idea it is to have an open Zoom meeting, which you are advertising publicly, because they are really going to have a job in trying to stop that being absolutely beasted, basically.
From a strategy perspective, Alice, like you've been an activist for many years. From a strategy perspective, what do you think pouring liquid shit over a much-loved figure, well, after his death, a statue to him, Do you think that's going to get more or less people on side in the fight?
I honestly think that's going to get less. And I heard of reasons for doing it. It's not that I'm necessarily opposed to throwing a container of shit over a statue. I would make a list.
Bit of an upgrade from that like mad green turf Mohican that was on Winston Churchill. Do you remember?
Yeah. Absolutely, quite happily endorse one being thrown over Churchill, but she's basically kind of going.
Hold on a minute, slow down. You would endorse shit being thrown on fucking Churchill?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just gonna have to cut you loose until we get off the show and go. Nice point. I don't think strategically it's going to help the cause very much.
But no, I think in terms of the Captain Tom one, it kind of seems a bit. Muddied for want of a better word. Because on the one hand she's going, oh yeah, we've thrown this container of shit all over the thing of Captain Tom, and saying, I know what the Tories are doing is against everything he stood for, is almost as if saying, you know, Captain Tom was one of the good guys, but we're still going to throw a container of shit over him. It's just going to rile. You know, if all they want is publicity and attention, yeah, it'll get that. No bother.
I'm really sorry. I just got a burp there, and I tried to like force it back down in my throat, but it just burped in my mouth, so I had to go to the side like a gentleman. Apologies to everybody out there, particularly if you're sat on the metro or the bus or anything like that, and you just had to listen to me burp in your lug hole.
Yeah. So I'm not quite sure how that tactic is going to go down.
Shite. That's how it's going to go. Shite.
Especially when you're then kind of giving details of your open Zoom meeting right at the end of that.
Give your address out. Do that. See how far you get with these.
It's going to get absolutely monstered, isn't it? Yeah. It was quite interesting hearing her story about how she was training to, be a doctor and everything. And, she made a lot of really good, valid points. I'm just not sure if the action is going to have the aim that she wants it to. Yeah.
Do you know what else she was doing? And I didn't want to show the video because I think it would be against like YouTube guidelines. There's a new movement, and I'm pretty convinced this is born from 4chan, or at least people like trolling the fuck out of activists. Setting your arm on fire, setting yourself on fire every day until the climate change is addressed. So there's a video of is it Maddie? Why am I saying Megan all the time? It's weird. Where she just like goes, I'm going to do this because of the fucking climate change and all this. And she puts a light at her arm and it just goes up. She's obviously doused it in something. And she's like, like, well, that's going to happen. So I'm not really getting it. Like, I mean, also as well, just strategically, if you're going to self-immolate, there was a guy who actually did it outside Parliament a few months ago, set himself on fire, and it just wasn't covered.
No, I remember that. It was like, there was nothing kind of on the regular news about it at all.
It was utterly mad. And like, I mean, look, I've got all the respect in the world for people out there who are fighting for us. And, we've spoken to people who are out there doing this, people who've been to jail. But somebody needs to have a word. Do we have any mutuals with that? Like, can Gianara come have a word? Because, like, she's like, I didn't want to sound like some old twat, right? But like, she's 21. She's got that fight in her, and I love it. But I know what we were like when we were 21, and it was like, God knows what we would have got up to. And it's just like, different. Set yourself on fire, and please stop pouring shit on Captain Tom. I'm thinking, look, if you're gonna do a statue, I can think of many others, but like, leave him alone. I mean, you come up with such magical quotes as tomorrow will be a new day, or whatever the fuck it was. I can't remember. And sound mate, I've run round the garden law. That was another one of his, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm probably shocked about Captain Tom. Actually, I won't make myself popular.
It's a bit of a hot one, isn't it? And I mean, like, God rest the lad's soul. I've got no problem with Captain Tom or any of that older generation at all, and just let them be, man. Innit? It's like,
I just don't believe that that's going to be making the point that they do.
I don't know what it's doing. I mean, it was fantastic to watch. I'll be honest. I mean, it's like, in terms of like Guy Debord's Society of the Spectacle, right? It's a spectacle, isn't it? And the Situationists were all about doing wild shit to fucking like create a spectacle, and then everybody responds to the spectacle, and then it gets the thing they want to talk about on the table. So I'm going to assume it's like born from situationist theory and Debord and all of that, right? So there's the fucking technical bit. The situations themselves, as you know, they were generally running around doing sloganeering on the walls and spray paint and shit, and they do the odd wild bit of shit and that. But I honestly don't think they would have poured shit on a much loved national figure. I mean, like, why didn't she go and have a piss on the Queen's coffin or something? It's would have had exactly the same outcome. Worse, obviously. I mean, however, it's like, it's such a fucking dumbass thing to do. But God bless her, man, at the same time, because she's young and she's out there doing stuff. And it might be like, we might be thinking it's misguided and that, but we've got to look at the whole picture here. The reasons for her, fuck what she's doing, the reasons behind it for her, no lies are being spoken. None. Like, we're in the shit with climate change. I keep having to say the shit. It's like ingrained in my head. All manner of excrement related, like, subconsciousness is pouring out of my mouth. Like, I don't want to mention the human centipede, but I've just done that, and I'm probably gonna like make you balk in a minute. Like, but God bless Maddie. Is it Maddie? It's Maddie, isn't it?
I think it was Maddie. It wasn't
Maddie,
Megan.
Megan. It's this like, horrible taking me head, man. It's like, God, what's going on? Shall we end it on a little bit about the enough is enough thing? Because you went to the one in Newcastle, didn't you? So tell a little bit about that, I
did, yeah. I did turn up fashionably late, as usual. Thanks to a visitation from St. Asma, because as you know, I was ill all last week, and it was like Saturday was the first day where I was really feeling not contagious, and also feeling like I could get up and go about. So I kind of came in towards the end of the speeches there, but did manage to see a couple of people who were there, including Cy King, who was from the Hairy Bikers. Obviously,
one of the Hairy Bikers was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I find, honestly, I do watch their programs, and I find the Hairy Bikers so fucking wholesome. I really do. So it was kind of quite nice. And he isn't, my biggest problem why I often don't go to these marches and stuff is a lot of the time it's the same old faces saying the same old shit, to be quite frank. But obviously, kind of like Cy King was like talking, and then it was a really mixed crowd. Obviously, there were people who've obviously been involved in activism for years, but there was a lot of people who aren't really, who are kind of concerned. And it was I'm absolutely, people keep saying, how many people do you think were there? I'm one of these people who is absolutely terrible at gauging numbers. And when I've seen it in the press, I've heard everything from like over 700 to a couple of thousand. It was a big crowd. It was definitely one of the biggest ones I've seen for a while, but definitely maybe not the biggest that I've seen in Newcastle. But there was a lot of people there and a lot of interest. And then there was
you remember the anti-war march we went to, which was back in the day, and it was like when the Afghanistan thing kicked off, and it was like, was it that size, which I would say is probably about 5,000-6,000 people, something like that?
Maybe it wasn't quite as big. Yeah, because I was on that one, and I do remember that. That was
you were.
I'm sure I was.
I know where you were.
I'm sure I was all over the papers in that one as well. I was standing out from the crowd a little bit in that demo. I'm not sure it was as big as that, but it was huge. There was a lot of people there. I would definitely consider it a success. And then,
that was the one when the Sunday Sun properly fucked me over. Sorry for butting in. I've just remembered. They put us on the fucking front page in a fucking Palestinian kafir. Right, there was me, and then there was an old guy, right? I will bring you back in, but I have to get this out. I've forgotten about it. Front page of the Sunday Sun. There's somebody who might as well have been Captain Tom with the fucking full-on like army old school uniform, and they titled it "A Hawk Amongst the Doves." It didn't end there, right? I was in the middle of town a couple of days later, just sitting waiting for somebody like on the monument, right? And some Raji comes up and goes, "Hawk amongst the doves," fucking giving it all that. So obviously now me, I wasn't going to have that. So I stood up and I was like, "Who the fuck are you talking to?" And then he fucked off, and I was walking after him down the street. It was horrific, man, though. But like, I was getting fucking fully targeted by dirty bastards, and they fucking centered the image on me and me pal and this old guy, and everything else was kind of blurred out as it the rest of the crowd. I was like, you twat. And that was when I had them mad Wolverine sideboards. Do you remember like how you didn't tell us to shave them off? I've got no idea. It looked terrible. So I stood out like a sore thumb, like a twat, basically. And he just, that whole ye Wolverine, you know?
I think that's the one I was wearing, a giant cardboard tank, I think.
Oh, was it that one?
I think so. It was.
Is that the one when the chief superintendent started giving it this? Actually, we can't probably talk about that, but like, anyway, we're moving on. So about this march you went on at the weekend.
Yeah. So it then, after there was speeches at the monument, and then people walked down from the monument down to Central Station, because that's where the RMT strikers were as well.
We got the RMT.
Yeah. So kind of rejoined the strikers there. It was quite nice, kind of everybody sort of supporting each other. A few more people spoke when we were down there. But it was quite like, as we were walking, I mean, you do always get the odd weird comment from, kind of people, members of the public who I'm not even sure they know what the march was about, but it was just the same old shite that you've heard for 20 years. But I only heard one person kind of being negative about it. There was a lot more people being positive. And like, I did notice as we were walking down, there was kind of members of the public who weren't part of the march who were like clapping everybody.
Wow, that's a novelty, isn't it?
Yeah. And then as we were at Central Station, there were lots of the bus drivers were tooting as they went past, obviously, because they're having their own battles as well. So sort of tooting support to the RMT strikers and the railway staff and stuff, which was really nice to see, to be honest.
Brilliant. I like it.
It was good. And then there was just a bit of an open mic night, open mic thing where, there was I didn't catch his name because I find it really hard to hear everything when there's lots of noise going on around me. But so I do apologise for not knowing your name. But the bloke from the RMT who spoke there was really cool as well. And then there was also a small child who arrived from absolutely nowhere. I'm not quite sure whose kid he was. He was 6 years old, who gave a short little speech about all looking after each other and sticking together, and ended it with "Destroy Liz Trust," which was absolutely my favourite highlight of the day, and probably guarantees him a place on the Prevent programme.
Yes, it would do, wouldn't it? You're getting a tap on the shoulder when he gets into school.
But now, big up, Destroy Liz Trust.
Big them up. Just to close it off, we'll take some comments from people, and then I'll play you out a Big Mick Lynch from the weekend.
Lovely.
So we'll see what people are saying. Where are you gone? Oh, StreamYard, man. Oh, it's back. Lovely. So I'm being called out for getting Maddie wrong. Cheers, chaps. Nice one. What we're saying, Imagination Scene, hit the like button, everyone, and leave a comment for the algorithm after. Ta-da! Nice one, mate. You know the score. Love that. Robert Grady will never see poor Alice again. I assume that's to do with what is that to do with, Robert? It could be a myriad of things we could get black bagged for.
My use of the word endorse, I think it might have been.
That's the dance, innit? That's the dance. So anyway, Big Mick, they give him the last word. We'll play him out. He's got a lot of nice things to say. Alice, thanks for being here, mate. I've missed you. I've missed doing this with you as well. It's like it gets kind of lonely every morning doing the Cow Daily. But it's always nice, and the birth of Cow Weekly shall rise.
Yeah, that's
like a phoenix from a hot summer and flames. Great crack. We'll have ran hour, but don't care. I've missed you, so fuck it. Anyway, any final thoughts there, Snarf?
I'm not saying any of my final thoughts now. I think I've got enough to get me door kicked in.
I'm gonna go and have a look through Wallace's jewelry box just to see if there's out half Raj in there, And what's this? To be honest, though, when we were talking about this last week, I'll say it now. But a sister gave her something that's got joined together rings on. It's all this carry on, right? So I was like, "Hi, what's all this?" Fortunately, I know for a fact my sister gave her it, so it's all good,
Yeah, I think we should probably point out that there is a lot of types of jewelry which have rings on it of some kind, so to not necessarily start going asking people.
Imagine this, somebody's going to, tomorrow they'll go up to their nana and be like, Nana, what's this?
Nana, are you a bratty sub?
And why have you left it to me in the will? Like, what does that mean? Are you passing the torch? Anyway, here's Big Mick Lynch. Bye, everybody. Bye. Oh, you got something to say? You want to say something?
No, that's it.
Just note about people's nanas being bratty subs and that.
No, nothing about people's nanas. Just obviously happy to celebrate Voltaire's emancipation from the Queen.
Yeah. Like, does it mean like it all belongs to Charles now? If somebody was to eat Voltaire, is that the law now? Is it just
I don't know. I'm assuming it means it gets that all the swans belong to him now. Maybe apart from her, she is her own autonomous.
Anyway,
person.
enough is enough. Here's Big Mick. Have you seen what I did there? That was fucking sterling.
Angry about your strike can rest easy, can't they? Because Liz Truss is about to introduce some legislation that's going to make it much harder for you to strike in the way that you're doing right now.
Well, they've been doing that continuously since 1980, since Tebbit. We've jumped through every hurdle. That's why the RMT has got such a high profile, because we always beat what they put in front of us. We'll put legal challenges up, we'll put industrial challenges up, and we'll get people on the street supporting us. Liz Truss will be gone before the RMT, I can guarantee you that.
Beyond the rail strike, we're here for the Enough is Enough rally at King's Cross. Can you tell us what's happening here today?
Well, it's trying to link up all these struggles, and the basic demands are straightforward that I'm sure everyone supports. We've got to have a solution to the energy crisis and the bills crisis, housing, the cost of living, the food crisis where food banks are even in trouble now. And we've got to tax the rich properly in this country so that there's a redistribution of wealth going in the right direction towards ordinary men and women, not towards the super rich. So that's what it's about, but it's about letting people express their anger and about giving them the ability to organise and fight back. And that's what this is the start of. 50 cities around this country. Well, we want to make that 100 city. Every city in the country has got to stand up and fight this government and fight this mad right-wing turn that is going to destroy us if we accept it.
Big Mick.